Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The dead rise again from the Hekara as they face off against the High Elves in this Warhammer World Championship matchup between Lotus Moon on the Tomb Kings and Dragon Turtle on the High Elves. So for the Tomb King forces, it is going to be some Tomb Guard on the far flanks of the formation, and the center ranks is going to be some Skeleton Warriors, and we do have the Kepra Guard as well, which do magic damage, and they are a very good unit at dealing with opposing infantry. And then in the backline, we are going to have some Skeleton Archers going to be protected by some Skeleton Spearmen, as well as the Casket of Souls. Casket of Souls is a very powerful unit, but against the High Elves, it is generally a very risky pick, with the bolt throwers being very prevalent on the High Elf side, but it can do quite well against the very tightly packed High Elf formations. And they do have the Eyes of the Desert, the Sepulchral Stalkers ROR, going to be lying in wait to protect that against anything flying overhead or anything coming a little too close. The front vanguard is going to be some Skeleton Horse Archers, going to be fighting a nice little bit of skirmish throughout the early stages of the fight. And for the Lord, it is none other than Arkin the Black, the loyal follower of Nagash himself. He is going to be rocking it up on horseback, as he is going to be coming in with Spirit Leech. We have the Libra Mortis, which is a very nice 44% physical resist in an AoE. We have the Staff of Nagash, as well as the Tomb Blade of Arkin. All very good items for Arkin here. Pretty standard stuff for him. He also does have My Will Be Done, as well as the Curse. So very nice abilities on that end, but that'll pretty much wrap things up for the Tomb King side. So for the High Elves, the Lord is going to be an Archmage of High, going to be bringing Soul Quench, Apotheosis, and of course it does have the nice little breath attacks being on the dragon. And then for the front line is going to be Spearmen spread all the way across into the sunset. We do have one unit of Silverin Guard, as well as a Ranger. And then we do have 3 units of Archers, as well as 3 Bolt Throwers. So that is going to be one of those units that is going to be doing quite a bit of damage to that Casket of Souls way up on the hill. It does have quite a bit of movement to get into range of it, but they will take care of that thing very, very quickly once they do get in range. And then for mobility, it is going to be just some cheap cav. We have 4 Elven Reavers to kind of help sweep the back line of the Tomb Kings, as well as protect their own from all of the Skeleton Horse Archers coming their way. That is it for the army, so let's get things rolling, as an early Spirit Leech does go down on the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, taking off a good amount of HP from them, and a Soul Quench is going to be fired off in response, hitting Arkin the Black. They're doing quite a bit of damage on that initial shot, as the Casket of Souls firing in, missing all of its shots, but here comes that second Spirit Leech, already taking out 2 of the Bolt Thrower models, considering that Staff Nagash does have that minus 30% recharge reduction when it is used. So that is how Arkin is able to get those Spirit Leeches off in rapid succession, able to almost eliminate one of the big threats to that Casket of Souls. But he has taken quite a bit of damage in return, taking some return shots from the Caskets, as well as the Soul Quench coming in from that Archmage, doing some nice damage there, as he is already down to about half health in the early stages. And the rest of the units here, the Skeleton Horse Archers, just trying to kind of get a nice little bit of positioning here. 2 of them are going to be flanking around the High Elves' left flank, as they do try and get some shots in. But the Archers are going to be firing off in response. They're a very good counter to skirmish cavalry in this engagement, as they do outrange pretty much all skirmish cav that they will be going up against, and they will be able to kind of deter them, making them take the long way route, as another Soul Quench does come in, connecting with Arkin, doing a lot of damage there early on. And he is going to have to be pretty careful for the rest of the battle here, as the Casket not really landing any good marks so far. All of its shots have kind of gone astray on the units that are approaching for the High Elves here, and now the Archer is going to start firing away themselves, as the Eyes of the Desert, though, have gotten a little up front, and they will be spotting the Archmage, going to be getting some nice shots in, doing some nice bit of burst damage on that initial volley, but the Archers are going to be turning their attention to them while they are still visible, considering they do have stock. So if they are able to pull back here, they will once again blend into the surroundings, and the High Elves will have to push forward if they do want to catch them in their sights once again. But now both of these Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers should be just about in range of the Casket of Souls, as they are going to start firing away their shots into this very expensive target, and their shots are going to be starting to land into that casket, doing some nice bit of damage, and it shouldn't be too long before these bolt throwers are able to deal some of the final blows, but the casket now able to start landing some hits at least into these archers, but still a very unfortunate luck so far on that casket not doing a whole lot of damage early on. And Arkan is having to be very, very careful, so he's not going to really be able to get into melee too much if he does want to recharge that Tomb Blade of Arkan, getting the those extra skeleton summons. He's just so low in health right now, and especially with that Archmage just flying overhead, not really going to be able to get into any advent positions where he's able to get that recharge in. But these Eyes of the Desert now are going to be firing up point blank range into that Archmage, as it is going to be flying overhead doing a ton of damage so far, and that is a very risky kind of move here by that Archmage. But I think it is seeing in the background, it does see an Arkan all by his lonesome, as well as a Casket of Souls, so it is going to be making a beeline for those units, as we are going to be getting another Soul Quench, trying to snipe out the Lord of the Tomb Kings, and in comes that Soul Quench, going to be landing just astray, as the Casket, I think, was trying to get in front of it to block, but luckily for the Tomb Kings, it does miss both of those targets, so that block wasn't for naught. But the Tomb Kings definitely knowing that that Casket of Souls days are numbered, with all of these bolt throwers now focusing its attention. But in the rear, we do have these Skeleton Horse archers are starting to shut down the crew here. One of them has been routed off, but the other unit still alive and well, able to kind of continually firing into that casket. But that Archmage is going to be diving down on top of that casket, should be finishing it off once and for all. And the Skeleton Horse archers, though, doing very well in the back line, able to shut down the Eagle Claw bolt throwers, at least for a time, as well as the archers. But the Leaven Reaver archers are now going to be, or the Leaven Reavers are going to be starting to respond in kind, trying to get into or push off those skeleton archers as best that they can. And now the Archmage diving onto the casket, able to finish it off, but it is now in a little bit of a predicament, as the Eyes of the Desert are going to be able to fire point blank range into that Archmage. He's getting very, very low in terms of HP, and the skeleton archer is going to be able to kind of continually force pass their way forward, keeping that dragon on the ground, and that is going to be routing it off the field. And with it being so close to the white line, I highly doubt that High Elf Lord is going to be back into the fight anytime soon. And with that, the balance of power is very much in the Tomb King's favor here in the late stages of the fight. Lots of infantry left. The Kepler Guard are pretty much untouched at this point in the fight, and there isn't really anything that can, deal any damage to them at this point. You have very light cav, and otherwise you have Silverin Guard, some Rangers, but you pretty much would need a full surround off on these Kepler Guard to even do a little bit of damage, because they'll just mulch through any of the Spearmen. The Silverin Guard they'll do very well against, and at this point the mobility for the Tomb Kings is sitting very, very strong, able to kind of clean up shop with the rest of the forces. The Leaven Reavers are just a little too light in that department to contend them, and the Sepulchral Stalkers themselves have a ton of ammunition left, able to shatter these units of Leaven Reavers. And I think that is going to be just about it for the High Elves, as army losses is on the brink of triggering here, and now Arkan has pretty much very little to fear in terms of counters to him, so he'll be able to now start wading into melee if he does so choose. But at this point, it's not going to be too necessary. The Shopti summon in the backline, dealing with these spearmen once and for all, and then going to be turning its attention to the archers. But that is going to be it, as the High Elves do fall to the advance of the undead. So let's take a little look at the after battle report, see how things did fare. So for the High Elves, the bolt throwers did do quite well at dealing with the Casket of Souls, and the Casket really wasn't getting a whole lot of luck anyways. If we take a little look at that, only 760 value, so those things cost a bit more than that. But it was a risk that the High Elves needed to deal with, so all of the bolt throwers then were forced to attack that Casket of Souls. So that left the Eyes of the Desert and Arkan the Black as less important targets, at least for the initial period of that fight, and that did allow them to kind of have their way, though the Soul Quenches from that Archmage was doing quite a lot of good work, though unfortunately up on the dragon, very, very expensive, and really didn't do a whole lot in terms of assisting that front engagement, and it just was a little unfortunate. They did get caught out, flew a little too close to the sun as they flew overhead those Eyes of the Desert a few too many times, taking a ton of damage in their pursuit for that Casket and Arkan. Rest of the forces not really doing a whole lot of value. The Leaven Reavers did okay for a couple of them, and then the archers themselves not really doing all too good work themselves. Yeah, the infantry here for the High Elves, the spearmen just aren't able to really cut it against the undead. You need something a little bit more stronger to really deal with them, especially when these Tomb Kings are going to be rocking Tomb Guard and especially the Kepler Guard themselves. They only got 600 value, but they were completely untouched by the end of that fight, really able to hold their own against anything that the High Elves were able to throw at them. They really needed to get focused down by either the archers, considering they don't have any shields, or really kind of get focused down by that Archmage as well. And a nice breath attack can do quite a bit of damage to those Kepler Guard. Otherwise, the Skeleton Horse archers did very nice work throughout that fight, able to kind of get into the backline of the High Elves, shut down at least some of the Eagle Claw bolt throwers for a portion of time, as well as kind of harass those archers, even though those archers do generally outrange them. But otherwise, it was a very good match on both sides. That's going to be all I have for you today. I do hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, have a good one.